Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Foreign Lady Podcast. It has been a hot minute, but I'm your host, Elizabeth, and
And
my co host,
and the bottom
And the
line,
bottom line,
and we are back. It's been a while. How are you doing?
I'm doing
I'm
okay.
doing okay.
Good, good. Anything new you want to share with people that you've been up to, or just living life and
Well,
Well,
hanging in there?
things are going
things are
well.
going well.
New job,
New
better
job,
pay.
better pay.
I'm
I'm
grateful for every
grateful for
day
every
that I'm
day
still
that I'm
here.
still here.
Yeah,
So
So
I'm at
I'm
peace
at
while the
peace
world
while
is
the
going
world is going
crazy.
crazy.
it's been a crazy, crazy couple of months for sure. It just seems like there's just a lot of madness in the world, and I'm just trying to not think about it because I don't know if, how much my mental health can take with all of the
Yeah.
things that are just changing every day. So I'm just trying to literally just take it one day at a time. I feel like that's all we can do is just take it one day at a time.
What else can we do? Because the world's gonna keep spinning with or without us.
Yeah, absolutely. And all we could do is just, you know, try not to be stressed or try not to stress a lot and just living life, you know?
Yeah.
All right. So on this week's episode, we are going to be talking about Neo. For those of you who don't know who he was popular in the 2000s, you know, with like Sexy Love and Miss Independent and all of that. But he we're going to be talking about him and his new polygamous relationship and just some of the comments that he made. And so I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, we're also going to be talking about the space thing that happened with Gail King and Katy Perry and Jeff Bezos' fiance. I don't even know her name. I just call her Jeff Bezos' fiance and like few other women. So there was five of them. They all went to space, and the trip was literally like 10 minutes. It was 10 minutes long. It was like a drive to the Walmart and back, basically. It was like a trip to the gas station, then to the Walmart and back
Yeah.
home. Um, so we're gonna be talking about that, and now they're considered themselves astronauts.
I don't
Anyway,
see why
so
not.
no, they're not astronauts. Okay. I think one of them might be the black lady. I think her name is Aisha. I think she was a
Hmm.
former like
Yeah.
astronaut, so I think she might be the only one. But we'll talk about that and some of the backlash that they have been getting recently. And then we're going to be talking about uh, are we now in a culture that is promoting debt? So for those of you who don't know, Coachella happened over the weekend. I think it was this was weekend two, and then we had weekend one that happened like from the fourth to the sixth, I believe. And it had just come out that around 60% of the people that attended Coachella attended on basically on a payment plan. And so, and we've been seeing them like all around, like when you buy something at like Amazon or if you buy something online, you know, even if it's like plane tickets or we're seeing all of these, you know, pay with a firm or basically break it up into a payment plan. And so,
Hmm.
are we now in a culture that you know, like promotes that?
Yeah.
If you're basically going to these experiences and these festivals and traveling on a payment plan, should you really be doing that? So we're going to be talking about that. And yeah, so I'm so glad to be back with you all. If my voice sounds crazy, I woke up with like a sore throat early this morning, so it's always something with me when I
Nah,
get on here. But
just the normal amount of crazy in the voice.
yeah, yeah, but I'm good. I just have a little bit of a sore throat. I hope it goes away. Let's talk about it. Um, let's start with Neo.
Of course.
So I was listening to the Breakfast Club, and the news came on. They were doing this basically their news segment, and Neo was there, and they were talking about this interview that he did where he talked about having four girlfriends.
It's
He
four
has
now.
seven. Yes, it's four now. He has seven children by, I believe it's three different women, and that alone is intense. When you have kids spread out like that, especially with that amount of kids, you barely have time to spend with them. That's the same criticism that Nick Cannon and all these other men that are just having babies nonstop. That's the criticism that they get is how do you spread your time with all of these kids? And now he has four girlfriends. They're all in a relationship, and the biggest thing that came out of the comment that he said was, so he's allowed to see other women outside of those four, but those four women are strictly committed to just him.
Uh huh.
Mind blown, right? I mean, these are all consenting adults. I get it, but as a woman, why? Why? And as a man,
Why
really?
not?
No, it's really.
Oh my goodness.
Go ahead. Go
Can
ahead.
I say something? Can I say
Uh,
something?
go ahead. I have
Can
thoughts,
you
but go ahead.
just wear one pair of shoes your whole life?
Are you comparing women to shoes?
I didn't ask you that. I'm just asking.
You
Can
know
you just
what?
wear one pair of shoes your whole life?
No, no,
All
you
right then.
cannot.
So
But I don't
when you
think this
have
is
the
the same
means and the
thing.
resources, you would want to wear a different pair based on your mood. So
So
I don't
he has
see
one for Monday, Tuesday, another one for Wednesday, Thursday, another one for Friday, Saturday, another one for Sunday. Like, what? What are we talking about here?
it's not my lifestyle. I'm not condoning it, but this is a man of means. He's a high value man, so to speak. I can't expect him to be following the rules of regular men when he doesn't
Okay,
have to.
so does this give him the license because he's a quote unquote high powered man to be in a relationship like this? And number two is, again, why would these women agree to terms like that? Because of the lifestyle? Because of his money? I don't know what would.
Do you think they would agree to him if he didn't have money or a lifestyle? Do
No,
you
I
see
mean
any
it's
of
not
them
like
with him?
he's not that cute.
Now you said it. I'm not judging the man by his looks. You said it. But again,
Look,
like if Neo wasn't Neo, would these women be interested in him? Maybe one of them, but would they
not
agree
all
to these
four.
terms? Would they agree to these terms? No. So the reasoning has to be they like the lifestyle. They like being taken care of, whatever that means for them. They're okay with it. So to me, I'm not mad at Neo for having a set of rules. Like, hey, you want this lifestyle? These are the rules. That sounds pretty fair to me. Just like when you get a job and they lay out what's expected of you and they say, here's the pay, take it or leave it. Now, if things were laid out and you signed that contract, you can't get mad afterwards because they told you exactly what to expect.
Hmm. I just, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan.
Of course you're not. Of course you're not. You hate to see that man happy,
I
getting what he
look, I
wants.
that is not what I that is not what I
Then
said.
what does it come
Okay,
down to then? The man is getting what he wants, and some of y'all can't stand it because I don't see any man upset at him.
of course. Why would a man be upset at him? Like,
Yeah. Why would any man be upset at him, really? And this is me
ugh,
again. I'm not condoning it. I'm not saying it's something I would do, but I understand that at that level of fame and success, you have certain opportunities that other people don't. And
mhm.
even Neil said it himself in the several interviews, like you got men who probably are as successful as him, but they can only be with the one woman. And in front of their wife, they'll be like, "Oh, Neo's such a horrible person." But then when they're with Neo by himself, they're like, "Yeah, man, yeah, 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 yeah." That's what they're saying.
I just okay, but going back to the attention piece, right? How can you give this? It even came out in an interview where he said, there are times where, one will be jealous more than the other, and look, this isn't a new concept, right? I'm African. I know polygamy. Like
Hmm.
it's a thing. I just, and even with that, I just don't understand. Like you cannot give these women the amount of time that they need, and that is why most of these relationships do not survive. Like that's why most of them do not work out, because how can you devote your? I mean, men can barely handle one woman, let alone four.
Apparently, Neil can, but the thing is like,
This ain't gonna last.
how do you have more than one kid and give them all the attention that they deserve? If you can do that,
That exactly. That's what I'm talking about. He has 7 children. He could
but
barely do that.
but there's families out there where they have multiple children and they find ways to give all of them the attention that they need.
Right, but
I don't see
most
why
of
Neil
those
can't do it
families,
with several girlfriends.
I feel are usually, mom and dad are in the home. Like
Hmm.
if that, so it's a family unit where you're only at that one house. You're not spread out in 3 different houses, or 4 in this case, or actually 7. So you got the 3 baby mamas where the kids are, and then you got the 4. At least according to the interview, I don't think they all live together. So you got the 4 that you have to split your time with. I,
You mean with the
I'm just
kids,
really
right?
so. No, no, that's what I'm saying. Like he has the 3 baby mamas with the 7 children. So he's going from baby mama house number 1, number 2, and number 3 to take care of his kids.
Okay.
And then how does he have time to still have 4 girlfriends that he's dealing with, which I'm assuming they don't all live together. They all live the women all live separately. So then
Um,
you're bouncing from house to house to house there.
his current girlfriends that he has, none of them he has children with, right?
No,
Okay, so his other kids are with other different women.
correct.
That's my only concern, my only issue with that. If he was just a man who was dating 4 women and didn't have kids with anybody, I honestly wouldn't care. I'd be like, that's his business, and those are
Right.
content that they don't.
This wouldn't even be like an issue. You know what I mean? Like we wouldn't even be talking about this if he didn't have kids and he wanted to do what he. But you have children that you barely. Well, I don't know if you barely, but you have children that you have to give your time to. How do you give them the amount of parenting time that they need and still manage to have time for 4 women and work? Because he's still making records and beats and songs for people, and I think he still tours. So like, where do you find the time?
I have no idea. Honestly, it's not something I could do if I had to be realistic, like you said. Kind of managing the needs of one woman is hard enough. I can't imagine what it's like to have 4, but I don't have the means that Neo has. Maybe I would feel differently if I did. But my concern would be the children. Like, what example are you setting for them, for the young
Right.
girls, for the young boys? What are they saying? And to me, like, to have your time so divided, you're gonna drop the ball with the kids. You're
Yeah.
gonna drop the ball with them, and they're the ones who are gonna suffer the most. They're gonna feel neglected, and you're probably gonna reap what you sow later on in life when, let's say, for example, the money runs out, or for whatever reason the girlfriends leave him. Who's going to be there to take care of you? Because the kids are going to resent you. The baby mamas don't want nothing to do with you, so who's going to be there for you when you need somebody? And that's when it's going to
Right.
come back, and he's going to know like how he failed. Because like he keeps saying, like, those girlfriends could leave anytime, and there's gonna come a day where they might do that, and you're gonna realize like maybe they didn't really care about you or need you.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I mean, it's I don't like these kind of situations. I just and I again I don't understand how women would put themselves in situations like this. But I mean, maybe that's why I'm still single. I don't know. Maybe this is what the world is these days, and I'm just still living in the past. So
I mean, this is the
I don't
past.
know.
Let's be real. Neo's lifestyle was obviously more common way back when in the ancient times and biblical
Yeah, you're
times,
right. You're right.
certain
You're
parts of
right.
the
You're
world.
right.
This is natural and accepted. So it's just not something we're used to anymore in the West. But this was
You're
something
right.
that was seen. So I honestly feel like I'm not in a place to judge.
Yeah, I mean, no judgments here. Like, if it works for him and his women, kudos to them. All right.
I just yeah. I just would say I feel like a lot of comments are around the fact that it's Neo. Who does he think he is? It's that kind of attitude. Like, who does he think he is? He ain't even all of that. And then it's like, how
I
dare
mean,
he not? You know,
he ain't no he ain't no Idris Elba, but it look.
right? We just mad that it's him who's able to do this.
Hey, to each his
That's what
own,
it feels
right?
like.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. But
Like he should
it
not be able to enjoy his wealth, his status. He is not all that,
look.
but he's
No
acting.
one is saying all that. Okay, we
That's
are
what it
not
feels
saying
like.
all that. No one is saying all that. Well, all I'm saying is like it just feels very attention grabby I mean we talking about him, so it just feels very like I need attention and this is the best way for me to get it because I'm irrelevant.
I mean, I haven't gotten that feeling from him at all. I haven't seen him like throw it in people's faces. I just don't think he's like necessarily in a space to hide it. He wants it to be
Yeah,
out in the open. And anytime people ask him about it, it seems like he's just on it. He answered on it honestly.
yeah. Can I just say I like your T-shirt? It's very nice.
You're right.
Yeah,
I
very
have good
very.
taste.
I know, I know.
Yeah, yeah,
And at least in that T-shirt, not
yeah,
in other stuff, but nice one.
yeah. I wear this, for special occasions.
I might need to bring my own out for our next episode.
It won't look as good as you as it does on me, but go ahead,
You
give it
know
a try.
what? You know what? We're moving on. We're not going. I'm not going to start with you today, okay?
Because
Because
you're gonna lose. But go
you
ahead.
always starting with me, and we are no, not today.
Start and finish.
No, I finished it. You always starting.
Can we get on to the next topic now?
Yes, we'll move on. Okay, we'll move
I'm just
on.
messing with you.
We'll move on. All right, so let's move on to these. What do they call themselves? The space.
Blue Origin?
Yeah, no. They were the girls trip. It was called Space Girls. I could be wrong, but anyway, so they took a trip to the space apparently, and it was five of them. It was Katy Perry, Gail King, Jeff Bezos' fiance. I think what's her name? Jackie.
Probably
I don't
something
know.
exotic.
Probably. And then there was I wanna get their name right. Give me one second. I'm looking it up. Okay. Lauren Sanchez, that's her name, is
Hmm.
Jeff Bezos' fiance, and NASA rocket scientist Aisha Bow, and then bio astro. I don't even know how to pronounce that word. She's an astronaut, bioastronautic research
Mm.
scientist. Her name is Amanda Yang. Yang. I'm so sorry, my pronunciation is terrible. Um, but yes, they all went to space. The whole trip took 11 minutes. They literally went up. and came right back down. And they were, I think, in space for a
About two
minute.
minutes. Yeah,
Is it 2 minutes? Okay.
about 2 minutes.
And now all of a sudden they astronauts.
That's how it
And
works.
and they are getting so much backlash for this. Um, I don't know if you saw Wendy's. Even Wendy's got in on
Yeah,
the action
yeah,
when they were like when they posted Katy Perry's picture, and they're like she went to space or whatever, and Wendy's was like, can we send her back? I
yeah,
was like, what she do to Wendy's? Like, who
yeah.
did she piss off at Wendy's? Um, okay, what are your thoughts? Because people are saying, first of all, who paid for this? Where is this money coming from? Why did this need to happen? Is this really encouraging women power, girl power, like they're claiming it is? Gail is out here doing interviews talking about that, have you been to space, and this is about women and women empowerment and yada yada yada. And I'm like, okay, what are your thoughts on it?
I
Yeah,
guess I guess I'm immune to it now. Like I didn't think of it as anything serious. I thought it was more of a innocent publicity stunt. I mean, if somebody offered me a chance to go to space for no apparent reason, I'm gonna say yes, just to do it. Like it's like, so I understand why some people might just be like, yeah, let me go do this. Oh, all girls trip, yeah, like let's do that. Let's go down to history books because again, it was like the first all female one, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
like their names get to go down in the history books. Like, so I can't blame some of them for saying yes automatically. Like I'll be remembered for this, and let's be real, for some little girl out there, it was an inspiration. Before they got to before they had to think about why they did it, before people saw something negative, it's an inspiration to somebody. So who is it hurting? Who is it bothering? Because let's be real, them going into space, unless it hurt your pocket, unless it did something that was a consequence to you, I don't see why there's this much backlash. It's getting negative attention, and I'm not understanding why. I was watching another news clip, and the guy was like, "This is DEI, this is woke," and I was like, "It's not that deep. They
yeah,
just went into space and came back down. That's all it was." But people want to
yeah.
make it into something more, like they
I
want
mean,
to
I
make it
think it's
seem,
cool.
yeah.
I thought it was cool. No, go ahead. Let me let you finish.
Well, I was gonna say they talking like these women just took somebody's position. They weren't going up there to do anything. They just went up and came down. They didn't take anything from anybody. But it just shows how some people can be upset for whatever reason. Like sometimes it's like you really just mad because a bunch of women just went into space and came back down. Like this is what you're upset about. Like there's
Yeah,
I got better things to think about.
yeah, I agree. I think the whole backlash just came from. Look, I think it's cool, right? I think it's great. I think it's wonderful that they all went to space and got to experience that. I think it's great. I think it's the way it's being marketed or portrayed in the media that's rubbing people the wrong way, right? Because it's like a bunch of rich people who went to space because they paid for it, right? And so it like how empowering really is it? It's not like they studied to do this or they spent their whole lives, being like actual astronauts who went to school and devoted their time, their energy, their commitment, and all of this to doing it. They bought a seat, literally. Like, if I had $1 million or however much money they paid, I could get a seat too. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? So it's not, so the whole like women empowering thing, look, people can barely afford groceries these days. And I think that's what the huge issue is with our economy right now. And people are losing their 401k money. People are, trying to find ways to survive. And you're over here going to space and thinking it's like some big, some huge accomplishment that you did. And it's like, yes, it's great and it's wonderful, but you didn't work for it, And so it's kind of just again what people are been it's just really tone deaf. It just really is tone deaf, and I think that's what is rubbing people the wrong way. Of, this money could be used to help people. This money could be used for doing actual research. Like I think our now president cut funding for children's research can for cancer research.
Hmm.
But there's just so much going on in our society right now that we can be focused on. Was this really necessary? Are you rubbing your wealth in people's faces?
The thing
I
is,
think that's what it is.
what space trip has ever been necessary?
I mean,
Like, I can't think of any space trip where they came back with the cure for cancer or a new energy source. What
I
space trip
understand
has
that.
been necessary? It's just about space travel. I think that's where they're hinting at, like a day when we're able to just take a trip to Mars the same way you would take a trip to the Bahamas. You
So
know,
now space is now a tourist attraction.
well, that's what they've been talking about.
Okay.
That's what they've
Okay.
been saying. Like that, like for people who like were fans of Star Trek, where you had these explorers who could, go to another galaxy the same way you could go down the street just as easily, just travel. You know,
Hmm.
that's what I hear about all the time when it comes to space travel. Like you just want to make it something where it's a tourist attraction. Whether it's realistic, we don't know. But this this whole affair made it look that way to me. Like this is where we're headed towards a time where regular people will eventually be able to hop on a spaceship and see the moon once in their life.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I don't have any qualms against it. It is what it is. I'm just I think it's cool, right? I mean, like you said, if you and I had a chance to go to space for a minute and 20 seconds, I'm sure we would take it
Yeah,
too.
and I would
I
definitely call myself an astronaut. I was in space. I'm an astronaut. Yeah, yeah.
I just
If
don't
that's
think
all the criteria it takes, I'm taking it.
I look. Apparently, that's the only thing it takes to be an astronaut these
Yeah.
days is just buy your way up there.
Yeah,
So,
don't try to change the rules when I get up there. No, like I'm an astronaut just like you.
so that's the only criteria is that, so as long as you make it to space, no
Yeah,
matter how you get there, you're automatically an astronaut.
yeah. If that's the
Okay.
criteria, I want it.
All right then. Well, I guess you and I astronauts completely different, but I always thought you have to like be super uber smart to be one. But I guess
Hmm.
it really is true what they say that money can buy you anything, can it?
Yeah, yeah. You got people who get honorary degrees.
That's true. That's
Yeah,
true. So I guess it would be honorary astronauts.
yeah.
All right.
That's how it works. And the thing is, like, unless I see an astronaut upset, I'm not gonna get upset.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. Like, if they get upset, if they feel offended somehow, all right, well, let's talk about that. But otherwise, all I saw was like, a group of women who took a chance. They said, "Yeah, I would like to do this once in a lifetime opportunity because I may never get it again." Like the economy being bad, people struggling, that's always going to be there if we're going to be honest.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. So, but why should that stop other forms of progress, other innovations? We still got to
Hmm.
move forward in other ways.
That has been trying to the whole space exploration that NASA's been doing is to um try to see if we can live up there. What human beings can do up there and all of that stuff. So I'm all for it. I'm all for space exploration and everything um that comes with it. I guess my whole thing is I just don't know what these women contributed to it.
Well, have you heard of Neil deGrasse
DeGrasse
Tyson?
Tyson, of course, of
Yeah.
course.
So he pretty much said the whole idea of like vacationing on another planet is a waste of time because the amount of effort to terraform it, meaning that make the environment suitable so that humans can live and thrive, you
Sorry,
could just
it's a
fix
waste
the.
of what? I didn't hear that part.
He was saying like trying to take a vacation on another planet would be a waste of time because
Mm,
number one, just to get there, then to terraform the planet to make it suitable and thriving for humans to survive in. He's like, you could just make the Earth better. It
Hmm.
just be easier to make the Earth better, because if you could fix a planet, you could fix your own world. So don't waste your time
Right.
with that. And
Right.
that made perfect sense to me.
That made sense to me too. I think I've heard him
Yeah,
say that in interviews. But yeah, hey, look, to each his own, right? At least they can say they did it, and
yeah,
they can move. We can all move on because I'm tired of hearing this
yeah, yeah.
thing.
I just think they did just for fun, just to do it.
All right, all right. Well, hey, sign me up next time if I have $1 million to go.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, let's move on. Oh, well, it could lead to our next topic. Maybe we can go to space on monthly installment plans.
Right, right, right.
we
I would
can
not put
pay
myself in debt for that.
we
You
can
got?
pay in installments.
Do you remember the guy from NSYNC? He paid $2 million to go into space. I forgot his name. I think it was JT.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
think so. There's been a bunch of people that have done it
yeah.
that have gone to space. I think, but I think this is just like an historic thing because it's a bunch of women that went.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
all right, let's move on. So, Coachella happened, like I said, this the first weekend was 2 weeks ago, and then the second weekend ended on Sunday. What's today?
The 18th, Friday.
Okay, yes, it ended on Sunday. Sorry, my days are confusing me here. Um, and it came out that a bunch, 60% of the people who attended Coachella attended on the payment plan. So
Right.
I've always wanted to go to Coachella. Um, I couldn't afford it because like a general admission ticket is like $600, and then
Right.
you have like the campgrounds which you have to pay for, and then like there's hotels if you want to do like it's a really big massive expense, right? So it's always been Coachella and WrestleMania. Speaking of WrestleMania is this weekend, and
Uh huh.
I'm really excited. I wish I could be in Vegas to watch it and be there, but again, they increased their ticket prices astronomically.
Right.
I don't understand what these people are doing. But anyway, so things are getting more and more expensive, and people want to have these experiences, right? But they can't afford it, so they put it on a payment plan. And so, and we've seen it all over the place, right? Where you buy something on Amazon or you buy something for another online site, and they ask you, do you want to put this in a payment plan? What are your thoughts on this? And do you think like this is promoting? Is this, first of all, is this helping people to be able to afford things that they might not necessarily have been able to go to or afford or pay for, because it feels like, oh, I can pay for it in installments. It's better than putting it on a credit card, because a lot of the time some of these payment plans are interest free. Or are we promoting a culture of now you got to go in debt just to be able to experience, a festival you want to go to, or an event you want to go to, or travel that you want to take, or whatever, or this thing you want to buy? What are your thoughts on that?
Um, I think I would want to stay away from anybody who kind of live by that lifestyle.
Hmm.
Like if you are on payment plans, for something that you don't really need. We're not talking about something you need to pay for. That's not somebody I would want to have in my life. Like it just scares me. Like meeting somebody who already needs their rent paid, their car broke down. I'm like, I gotta keep walking. Because that's something that I don't do at all. Like if I want something, I don't have to put it on a payment plan. I just pay for it. That's it. Because I don't like thinking about making payments. I want to be able to make that one payment and have the peace of mind that whatever I bought is mine now and forever.
Right.
So I don't know how people live in that kind of world where they're paying for something and at any point it could be repossessed because you missed a payment. That's hard for me. Hard for me to imagine. and I've seen that happen to people. And
Well,
I every
I mean,
yeah.
in this situation, it wouldn't be like a car, right? Like,
Mhm.
so it's not like, look, I look at payment plans as like, okay, this is like a car or a mortgage or, something that at the end of it, like, I know is like an asset, right?
Yeah.
These are more of like experiences that people want to do. And, not a lot of people can afford to go to a festival or afford to travel or afford to go to, some of these things that they want to, they don't have the money to do some of these things that, you see on Instagram that everybody's doing and all that. I have one of two thoughts, right? I'm like, I understand that it's a way for people to be able to, it's a chance for people to be able to experience things that they might not necessarily have been able to experience because they can't afford it. And so they
Mhm.
spread the payments out. My other thought on it is if you can't afford it right then and there, then you shouldn't be buying it.
Mm-mm.
But then my third odd thing is, well, people use credit cards all the time. Isn't this just another form of a credit card, except it's less interest, and at the end of it, I'm like, okay, I'm done with it, and that's it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's those are just some of the thoughts that I'm thinking about.
To me, it's not the same. When you use a credit card, you got to be responsible, because when you use a
Hmm.
credit card, it's going on your credit report. I specifically use a credit card simply to build my credit, simply to know that I'm a person they can trust. I don't need a credit card. A credit card for me is a luxury. I use it because it just helps in the long run when I want to make other bigger purchases and they see my credit history. Like you said with this one, this was just a luxury. They didn't need to do it. And again, you hear about these stories where people are like, they're going to Coachella instead of paying their rent or something like that. That's just
Hmm.
irresponsible. There's no experience that I need that badly that I'm gonna forego paying my rent or making sure my basic needs are met. That's irresponsible. I could only imagine that kind of person coming into your life, because guess what?
Well,
Some of
you're
these
no
people.
fun.
Well, imagine these people
Why you
are
gotta be
probably.
such a party pooper?
I'm just
Golly.
saying, these are the kind of people that's probably going to ask you for money, and you think they need money to pay their rent or something important. No, they're using that money to go to Coachella.
I mean,
They're taking money out your pocket, or they're taking the food off of your plate just to go have an experience and putting you
look,
in more debt than you need
experiences is
to.
where it's at now. Like people, that's the culture. A culture shift that we have now is experiences are what. Look, I rather I rather go somewhere and have an experience than get like a gift like that. Those are, like, that is the culture that we live in now. I guess I've always been like that. Like, I'm more because you remember experiences better than you remember, you know, a like a gift or whatever, right? Like
Uh huh.
experiences are are something that you can cherish with friends and family and things that you remember. So those are the things that are happening now where people, people want to go to this or people want to go here and people want to do that. And unfortunately, that's just the culture we live in now. And I just don't think you should put yourself in debt to be able to do that. Like if you can't go to Coachella, you can go to, a comedy show down the street for $20. You know what I mean? Like there are ways that you can,
Yeah.
or watch it online. I don't know. Like I'm about to do this weekend
Right.
for
Right.
WrestleMania because I can't go. Um, but when you do eventually get to a point where okay, you're like, you know what, I have a little bit of money stoked aside. I'm about to save up for next year. I'm about to do this. Then you can do that, but don't go into debt to be able to go to some of these places and then you go, you have fun, but then you still got you know a check and you still got to put a check in the mail or you still got a bill coming for you every month and the experience is over, so just
Coachella,
be
right? It's a Beyonce event, right?
it. No, she did it, what was it, 2 years ago, but they have different people. So this year was Gaga was the headliner and Charlie XCX.
Because I feel like it's mostly like when I think of Coachella, I think of Beyonce. I think of mostly a female fan base. Am I correct?
No, 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 no,
Okay.
no, no. Coachella is it's it's turned into like a influencer celebrity thing now. But I mean, it's just a music festival for music lovers, right? But now it's kind
Okay.
of turned over the years. It's kind of turned into like a influencer thing. Like you gotta be a Coachella if you're cool or whatever. But it didn't
Okay.
used to always be like that. It's kind of like like Rolling Loud or was it Lollapalooza, the one in Chicago? It's just like a big music festival with
Okay.
a bunch of like artists that you can see in one place and have like a great weekend and all that.
Okay.
Which
Okay.
I heard this weekend for them was a little rough. But yeah, and that's pretty much what it is.
Okay. Okay.
I forgot
That's
you're
good.
old man. You don't get out much,
That's true,
so
man. That's true. I mean, the thing is,
it's
I'm
okay.
debt free.
That's why you have me.
I get to go where I want, do as I please. I'm not in debt. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
look, for some of us who are in debt, I got student loans I gotta pay. Um,
Hmm. No,
it
but
is what it is.
I'll tell you right now, not that I don't have debt, but I am in a place where it's like, I don't have to worry about that. And there's nothing better than that peace of mind where, let's say, if you lose your job, you don't have to panic. Like, that's a very peaceful feeling to have when you're in a place where, things are
Yeah,
taken
but I
care
do
of.
want you to remember that's a luxury too. A lot of
Yeah.
people, like what you're talking about, as simple as it sounds, is a luxury because some people they don't have that, right? Like if they lose their job, that's it. They don't have a nest
Yeah.
egg for 6 months or to a year or whatever. And unfortunately, that's just the culture we live in now, where people are literally living paycheck to paycheck, and
And
it's
I hear you.
you know. So at that point, do you just not live? Like do you just? I know this is got kind of getting to like heavy territory, but I just want to kind of get that out there of like what do you do when you're in that position of okay, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Like, do I just continue to pay bills for the rest of my life, or am I gonna at least try to have fun no matter how I can get it? Like yes, I don't want to be in more debt, but unfortunately, we're just in a culture where everything is just so expensive and income isn't like everything else is going up, but our income, right?
That's true.
And so people don't want to be, people want to enjoy their life. They don't want to just work just to pay bills.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah. Because like, that's why I like. It's like I understand anyone who's listening. I got to give grace to the fact that it's hard out here.
yeah,
Um, but that is also part of life. That most of it's going to be a struggle. We're not always going to get what we want, and to really be prepared, we got to be responsible. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think for most of us, you're raised knowing the fact that you have to have some kind of savings, some kind of backup plan. You don't want to be living paycheck to paycheck. Like, these are things that I feel like are universally told. And if you end up in that situation, I'm really gonna ask, like, how much of that is your fault?
mm,
Like, if we take out the bad economy, if we take out the bad leaders, how much of it was your fault based on your own irresponsibility? Like, I know you wanted to go to Coachella this year, but it'll always come back next year and you'll have just the same kind of fun. But today you got to be responsible and clear out any of your debt, and you got to reduce your living expenses. You know what I'm saying? If you have to live in a hole in a wall for a year or so just to get right financially, do that.
yeah, yeah,
Do that. And that'll build character. That'll put you in the right place. Like, the decisions I made way back when, I'm grateful for them now because I do have that peace of mind. You know, like just recently, my brother was like, "Let's compete for uh, best dressed on Easter Sunday," right? So, as you know, I've been working on my wardrobe a lot, and I have
yep,
more than enough right now, just in any category. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just buy a shirt. I'm not gonna spend more than $30. I end up going, I spend more than 200, but who cares? Because I can handle that, and I
Mhm.
know I'm gonna beat him anyway. But that was the thing. Like, it's like that feeling where, you know what, you can do that luxury and not worry about what you have to sacrifice. That is such a great feeling because you don't have to sacrifice anything. You can have it all. Such a great feeling, but you had to put in the work way back when.
Well, all right, everyone. Well, this is our first uh, audio and video podcast. Is it? No, it's our
We've
second.
done one before. This we've done
We
one
have.
before. Yeah,
I don't even remember. But
yeah.
you can catch us on YouTube. It's going to be on YouTube. And if you're listening in audio form, we're obviously everywhere you listen to your podcast. So make sure you check us out on our YouTube as well. I know I've been talking so long about building our YouTube page, and it's finally happening. So make sure you go subscribe to our YouTube page, Foreign Lady Podcast. Support us. We want to start getting subscribers and grow our YouTube channel as well. So make sure you support us. Yeah.
It's
All
gonna be
right.
so hard
Huh?
because now in front of the camera we can't hide our facial expressions or any sort of like mistakes we
No,
made.
I know. Look, I forewarning, my face says everything. Okay, I cannot hide it. I'm one of those people, and people who know me know
Hmm.
my face gives me away every time. So you're gonna see some weird facial expressions from me. I'm new to this whole thing. I'm not a expert in knowing what to do with my face when I'm on camera. So you're gonna
Hmm.
get some faces. So please bear with me because that's just who I am. I
Yeah.
can't help it. So
Right.
you've been pre-warned. Um, but yeah, so go support us on our YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram. We're gonna be doing more of a social media thing now, and yeah, we're really trying to grow the podcast, grow our presence online, and come along for the ride. So we'll talk to you all later. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.